An update tonight on the Apple River stabbing trial. Nicolae Miu will be sentenced on July 31st for the stabbing death of Isaac Schumann and injuring 4 others. The court announcing the sentencing date earlier today, less than a week after Miu was convicted of first-degree reckless homicide. He was also convicted on charges for injuring A.J. Martin, Dante Carlson, Anthony Carlson, and Riley Madison. They all testified against Miu at the trial. It took a jury fewer than 7 hours of deliberation to find him guilty. Now, for the first time since the trial, we are learning more about how the jury reached its verdict.
Fox 9's Paul Bloom talked to 2 jurors who explained why they did not believe this was self-defense.
I was fearing for my life.
In many ways, Nicolae Miu's trial came down to witness credibility. What the hell is this guy's problem, bro? And the nearly 3.5-minute cell phone video of the escalating encounter.
If there was no video, how hard would that have made your job? What would that case have looked like?
It would have made the jurors' job very hard. I'm so thankful that we had a video to kind of base our thoughts on it.
Fox 9 spoke to a pair of jurors after the panel of 12, 6 men and 6 women, found Miu guilty on half a dozen charges, including first-degree reckless homicide.
I feel that justice was served.
The jurors asked us to conceal their identities, wishing to remain anonymous while taking us inside the deliberation process. I spoke to one over the phone who concluded Miu could have avoided the whole thing.
I mean, it's not like anybody had a fence behind him or were holding him there. He could have went, even if it was the wrong direction, he could have walked away.
We felt like we put on a good defense, but in many ways, self-defense is a community standard, and it's very dependent upon which group of 12 people within the community you ask.
Or he could have walked right past everybody and went back to his group.
Both jurors reasoned if Miu threw the first punch, as several witnesses testified, he could not then claim self-defense.
You went to Mr. Miu, correct?
Yeah, I went to the guy who was punching people first.
Correct. Again, based upon your memory that he pulled someone's hair and punched them from behind, correct?
Based on the memory that I know that he punched someone, yes,
Okay.
It doesn't matter how he punched them. I know he punched them, and he shouldn't have.
Prosecutors included a charge of battery, arguing Miu struck Madison Cohen first, sparking the physical altercation.
Why was it important to start your kind of deliberations or conversations around the battery?
The Madison Cohen battery charge was a really big thing for the whole case because what that basically amounted to is, who threw the first punch? We had more people that said that he punched her.
While there was little support in the room for Miu's claim of self-defense, I am told that 2 or 3 jurors pushed for a conviction on the intentional homicide charges.
But after looking at everything overall, I think it was just more of a freak thing. It was people in the moment. I don't think initially he had the thought of, I'm going to kill one of these boys or all these boys.
Do you think he hurt or helped his case by going on the stand?
I don't think he had much choice but to go on the stand. I think if he really was going to plead self-defense and have a case, I think he needed to take the stand to explain himself.
I lied about the knife.
Was that your knife?
Yes, it is. It was.
In this case, which I think is probably with a lot of cases, it actually hurt him. Just like I was saying, because the stories did not match. There were so many things that were not true that he said.
As to count 1 of the information, Isaac Schumann, the jury finds Nicolae Miu guilty of first-degree reckless homicide as submitted.
In the end, it took jurors less than 7 hours to wade through 8 days of testimony, nearly 50 witnesses, and some 30 pages of jury instructions to reach those unanimous verdicts convicting Miu. The now 54-year-old remains jailed in Hudson, Wisconsin, where the district attorney says he is facing up to 97 years in prison when he is sentenced at the end of July, a decision ultimately up to the trial judge. Paul Bloom, Fox 9.